Are you looking for something affordable, unique, and fun to give away in your merch orders or at your shows? Look no further. Hit me up today for 1-inch buttons for your band, label, or other project. High-quality metal pinback buttons for your friends and fans' battle jackets, messenger bags, and guitar straps. $38 for 100 buttons shipped inside the U.S. Message me on IG at Everything Remade to get started. Hello, and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Edie Quinn, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, though, I'd like to remind you about our Patreon page at patreon.com/humanmachine, where you can go to read all the zines, get music sneak peeks, and so much more. That's patreon.com/humanmachine. And now, I'd like to play something for you. You're hearing Bowser's Theme by Pet Play, featuring my pal Clementine Baker on bass. The song comes off their EP Hell to Tell, which you can find on Bandcamp.
My mom was a piano teacher, and by DJ I mean like on the radio, like not like two decks or anything,
Okay.
but like he was an on-air personality on the radio or whatever.
Right.
And my mom taught me piano, and like that was always the thing I was forced into. Like I had a couple years of piano lessons that I had to do, and then I eventually rebelled and did guitar, but like none of that was to play music with other people, like ever, right? So it was years and years of that. And then my freshman year of college, I went to my first house show. It was this basement show at this place called Bruce Manor in Athens, Ohio. I think it was the last show that house ever threw. It was this band Difficult Dog, who like have a bunch of people that I'm still friends with and like still make stuff that I love in it. But, like, I went to this show not knowing anything about anyone, and it was just, like, a completely surreal experience for me. Like, I grew up very suburban. Like, the idea of a basement show wasn't really a thing I knew it theoretically happened because of, like, Guitar Hero or whatever. Like, you, like, play in basements in that game. But, like, going to that show and seeing the last Typical Dog show was, like, completely transformative. And like immediately after that I like got involved in the student radio station. I met a bunch of people who would be in like my first band. I mean, I guess I like played in bands in middle and high school, but like never actually a show. You know, like it was like we would go to Brad's mom's garage and be really loud for a little bit, but like it was a different thing. So like getting to college and like seeing a scene like in a way that actually existed was like completely transformative to me. And then like it became the only thing I ever wanted to do was play with people and be at shows and be in basements and in weird DIY spots and write about it. And yeah, I did that for years. Was like quote music journalism or whatever, which is just like I was too insecure about making things to like have that be my way into a community. So I wrote about it for a long time, and then now I'm here and I'm in 7 bands, and you know, it just kind of happens.
Yeah.
when you care about a thing.
What were you writing for?
Oh, so I wrote for a bunch of different places. Like, it started just doing I went to college during the, like, peak Pitchfork era of, like, everybody really wanted to be a Pitchfork writer or whatever. So, like, we had a blog that, like, a bunch of people contributed to. I was the editorial director for a year or two while I was there. Like, running a staff of, like, 20 kids who were just, like, writing about local stuff. Athens is a super weird little town because it's, like, right between Pittsburgh and Columbus. So we got a lot of, like, people who couldn't find a spot to book in either of those two towns would come to Athens and play, which was really cool. But I wrote for that for a couple years, and then I interned, and then eventually was, like, a staff writer at Brooklyn Vegan. And I don't know, I did contributing things other places. Like, I think I had bylines at, like, AV Club and Billboard or whatever, but mostly when I think about it, it was just, like, Brooklyn Vegan was the place I blogged for when I was taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you were in school for, that kind of thing?
So I went to school for journalism. I was, like, I don't know, maybe this is common, maybe this is not common. I, like, didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do when I was getting out of high school because I was 18 years old. But I knew I liked filming stuff. I used to, like, make skate videos with my friends all the time, and that was a big part of it. And, like, I was like, I just want to go use a video camera, and if I could use a video camera every day, that'd be cool. So I went to school for journalism, and I was in school for broadcast journalism, and then, like, ended up more in the writing side of it, just because, like, producing video content about music is very difficult and expensive, and also a lot of people don't really care about it. So, like, writing was what was available and accessible, so I just, like, started doing that, and then realized I really liked it. I like writing a lot. And so just, like, kind of went all in on that for, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years or something.
Yeah.
Then gave up.
Yeah.
That shit's hard.
So what was you, like, when you're saying, like, if you could spend every day, like, looking into a video camera, what was your ideal, like, at that time to like, what might have you been like, this is what I want to do specifically, but I'll do, like, kind of whatever in the meantime.
Right, yeah. Like, thing is, like, I don't know. I don't even know that I, like, had a plan that far ahead. So, like, warning for, like, heavy stuff or whatever. But I was an addict from a super young age. And so, like, I didn't really have things mapped out. Like, I know this is common among trans and queer people, but, like, I didn't expect to be around very long. So I was like, I don't know. I just want to make cool stuff.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. And so, like, I think kind of my ideal as, like, an 18-year-old or whatever was, like, maybe I'll work at, like, a TV station editing, like, local news, and then sometimes I get to steal the cameras to, like, talk about my friends who make cool music or whatever. And that was kind of all I had planned. And then it's just kind of been, like, accidentally finding my way into stuff. And now I'm 32, which is well past when I ever thought I'd be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
the thing that, like, what you're saying, and, like, the thing that we've all felt, where it's just like, yeah, that's too real. Even before I ever heard the word trans, like, I felt that way, you know? And
yeah, like, I was just like, I don't know. I'm a weird kid, and I don't seem to fit in with anyone anywhere except sometimes other weirdos, but even that's pretty rare. So I can't envision myself being, like, a happy, full-fledged adult. And yeah, that was, like, way before I knew any kind of gender, anything was happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew it was, like, weird. Like, I knew I was, like, a little gay kid. but I didn't understand exactly how that like mapped to like who I actually am. And so it was just like despair all the time. Like, damn, I was so sad when I was a kid all the time. And like, that's just how it was. I didn't know there could be anything else.
Yeah. With me, there's this thing that's hard to explain or pin down or whatever, but it's like, you know, when we're talking about like you didn't feel like you fit in with other people, and there's this other thing where like it's not necessarily that you were like pretending to be something to fit in, although that is surely like a part of any kind of person's like adolescence, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But there was the part about an adolescence where you thought you were a teenage boy, where you were accepted by the other weird teenage boys, and that didn't feel right either. That felt weird.
Right.
Like I felt ashamed. Like why do I feel this way? Like these people like me or whatever, and this doesn't feel right. Like, you know, and
no, exactly. Like even in a place that like theoretically you're like accepted or whatever, it's still, you're still not like fulfilled, and you still feel like you're faking it a little bit. Like even at the places I felt most okay when I was a kid, I still was never as okay as I am in like my everyday existence now. And like that, I don't know, that's like it's such a heavy thing that like so many people I know and love have like experienced. And it's just like, it's kind of indescribable the way that like, I never knew what comfort was. Like I never knew feeling okay with myself for like most of my life. And yeah, it's such a bummer that it's so common.
Yeah.
But like, that's existing or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
You figure it out. You find the places to like be all right.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is like, especially as a teenager, you don't like, you just think this is how it is. You don't ever think that other people live lives that aren't like this. You know, you think
like,
oh, everybody must feel this way.
Yeah, everybody's miserable all the time. Everybody must be miserable in this specific way I'm.
Yeah.
And like it's not until later that you realize like, oh no, I was another layer on top of teenage. Like there was more happening that I didn't know about.
Yeah. You like you're on social media now, and you're like, and people are like, my dad is the greatest in the world, and you're like, whoa, like your dad is what? You know?
You and your family like get along with zero tension? Like, okay, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, great for you, but like, this is not my experience.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think the hardest part for me, like now or whatever, about this whole like experience is you know, on a general like day-to-day basis, I'm like, damn, I'm real glad that I'm still here, that I didn't accomplish like, you know, anything that would have prevented that in the past.
Right.
I'm glad that you know, the stars aligned or whatever, and then so I'm still here. But then like the other thing about that is like I never prepared for that. And also, I prepared sort of for the opposite. Like, I threw everything at everything I was doing, like, at any given point, you know? And then it's like, whoa, bad decisions everywhere. And now I'm, like, paying for it, you know?
I'm very glad at my younger self for, like, committing so heavily to things. And also, damn, I wish someone would have explained what like a credit score was, or like, like actually putting all the money anyone is willing to like put on your name towards surviving and like making things you think is interesting is like great, and also makes your life very difficult when you start having to think about like, what do I want to do in 10 years? Because like I just have all these bad decisions I made that, like, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be dead anyway. And like, oh, still here. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and it's I'm not gonna lie, like it's not. I'm not like I'm here. I'm much older. I'm way older than I ever thought I would be, et cetera, et cetera. But like at the same time, like the current state of the world does not do anything to deter those old feelings of like YOLO, you know, like
Exactly.
are
Like,
you know, do I got to worry about what's going on in 4 years? Like, do any of us, you know, like nothing that's happening currently, like politically, climate wise, you know, et cetera, like is deferring that feeling.
reassuring.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Like, I don't feel more comfortable looking around. Like, I feel a lot more comfortable looking around my, like, direct circumstances and, like, surrounding the people I've surrounded myself with or whatever, you know. But, like, if anything, I see more now. Like, oh, shit is really bleak. I have no idea if anything I'm doing is going to survive past 5 years, because I don't know that anybody, period, is going to survive past 5 years. So, like, it's weird being confronted with, like, the repercussions of, like, decisions I made not thinking there was going to be a future when I still kind of thought there was going to be a future. It just wasn't going to have me in it. Whereas, like, now it's a whole different kind of uncertainty.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, like the best advice that I give myself is just that, like, you know, these people that are out there that like make all of our lives miserable, like they're not going to outlive me, you know?
Yeah.
So like,
I put in the work. I tried. I tried to make it so I wasn't here, and I couldn't. So, like, fuck them. They're old and miserable anyway. So, like, if I, you know,
I know,
whatever.
right? It's like, like you know, like people out there writing children's books about wizards, they have all the money in the world, and you're still fucking miserable. You're so miserable, you can't not think about, like, a hypothetical situation of somebody in a bathroom or something, you know?
Exactly.
Like, it's just like, it's disturbing. Like, I mean, I don't know.
The like things that people choose to like fixate on and like decide are a problem when they don't have any other problems is so weird.
Oh yeah,
it's so foreign to me.
Yeah. I said a long time ago, I'm like, I don't know, I'm not going to put it quite as well as I did, but I was like, you know, you can tell a lot about people and how, like, what kind of problems they have in their life based on if they get something at a restaurant that isn't exactly the way that they wanted it.
Right,
you know?
Exactly.
Because,
how do they interact with something that isn't exactly what they thought it would be?
Right. Because you're like, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, and even if you're like, okay, I'm going to send this back or whatever, there's a way that you react to the person and the way that you handle yourself with the person. And then a lot of people, the people with the most problems, they're just like, you know what? It ain't even fucking worth it. I'm just eating this shit. You know, like, that's me. It's just
food
like,
in front of me, I'm going to fucking eat it.
Yeah, it's like, if I send this back, it's just going to go in the trash. I can't handle that. Like, just as a kid who had to finish everything all the time.
Yeah.
You know? It's just like, you know. But not saying, like, you know, not saying that I'm right in that or morally whatever than anybody who does send the food back. Like, it's the way you react.
Different.
Yeah,
Exactly.
The way
and,
you
like,
treat the person.
The way, exactly. Like, the way you interact with someone whose job it is to bring you that food.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't necessarily make it. They didn't necessarily fuck up the thing that made it be wrong or whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, the way you treat that person says a lot about people.
Yeah. It's it's for real. You're just like, you know, you can just tell you have zero problems. You have so many problems. Like, where, you know, there's a scale. But
Exactly. Yeah.
you were talking about like you didn't really like start playing in bands until like you were, you know, writing at Brooklyn Vegan and everything like that. Like,
Yeah.
was there a thing that happened to where you were just like, yeah, I'm gonna do that now. Like, fuck it. I've spent enough time, you know, like working my way into things like on the, you know, um, like journalistic side or whatever, and so I'm just gonna do it. Was it just like you getting asked to join a band, or was it like what was the story
So
there?
there, there was a time when I thought I had figured it out, right? And like that was during college. I like thought I didn't care. Like I was listening to a lot of this is gonna sound so disrespectful, but I truly mean this with like the utmost respect. I was listening to a lot of like Connor Oberst and Jay Retard stuff when I was in college, and I was like, oh, you can just make whatever song. Like anything you make can be a song if you want it to be, right? And like that was the sort of like that combined with like the like bedroom pop era of like people are just recording shit into their like into GarageBand on the Mac they got for school and putting it on Bandcamp. Those two things like really helped like my brain figure a thing out, and I think like part of it was like I grew up around radio where everything is the most considered polished product, right? Like it is that you are making those songs to sell them to people to sell things or whatever, whether that's like tickets or merch or fucking like Kia Soul, you know? Like those songs are made with purpose to make people feel okay or whatever. And like hearing more of just like that sort of unfiltered, like this person is just making this because they feel compelled to make this for whatever reason. Like made me feel okay actually recording stuff I was making or whatever. Like I had a bunch of friends who were in bands in Athens, and like I started making music with them and like feeling more okay with that. And there was like a bunch of half finished shit that I'm not going to talk about because I'm embarrassed of it, because you know that's how making things is, I think. But yeah, before I figured out myself, I made a bunch of stuff that was like, okay, I'm figuring out how to collaborate with people, and then I kind of just like stopped for like 10 years. I moved out of the college town I was in. I was like dislocated from all my friends. I started recording a bunch of stuff by myself that never went anywhere. Like at least like publicly. Like I think I made a lot of development in that time, but like, you know, it was just for me. And then in 2020, like a bunch of my friends, I worked at it was like a tech job around music. And a bunch of my friends, when we were all in lockdown, like wanted to be making things because that's kind of what people who are creative do when they're faced with like, well, I can't do any of the stuff I normally do. I'm going to just expel this stuff out. and like 2020, I started the band that is now Teeth Kids with a bunch of my friends from that job who were just like all stuck at home. We piggybacked on our guitarist Sawyer and Emily had been working on like just like various weird metal songs, and like we kind of just cannibalized a bunch of their work and like fleshed it all out. And now Teeth Kids is like a different thing. It's not we're not necessarily just writing death metal riffs, but like that's how I got back into it. Right? Is like I walked away for a long time, and it was just like BK1 and an acoustic guitar being really sad and like mopey into a microphone about how lonely I was. And then a bunch of my friends were like, "Hey, what if we did this all together?" And I was like, "Yay!" And I like remembered like it's been 5 years, I guess, since that, but like. Yeah, I don't know. I remembered how much I loved working with other people and like coming at it from a perspective of like I had gotten sober. I like figured out the gender stuff I had going on. Like all that shit was just like a completely new experience and something I could like actually feel myself invest in. Like I now when I play music with people, I like am comfortable putting myself out there. And like even the bands I had when I was in college, I don't think I was ever really at that point. Like I was still trying to make something that I thought someone else would like, instead of just like getting together with people I love and working on things together. And like that, it feels like I finally realized why people make music. Like it took me like 20 years or whatever, but it's the best thing in the world. And like it's all I think about. All I think about is like making stuff with people I care about. And that's a cool place to be, I think. It's like in a place where like life is settled enough and I've settled enough with myself to like get to experiment with that stuff.
Yeah. What I think is interesting is you said that like, you know, what made you realize like you could just go ahead and do things was like, you know, acoustic guitar, like sort of just, you know, just like plug it in real quick and record your song. Whereas like with me, it was stuff like Bad Religion or the Ramones, because like I after listening and learning songs by like ear, you're basically like a lot of these songs are the same. They're just moved like around on the fretboard, but they're the same. And
you're hitting the power chord on 4 at a different time than you were the other song.
It's like this one is like den did a little and den did a little and den did a little and like it's these 4 notes like that, and then the other one is like almost it's like they're same thing but in a different order on the fretboard, and you're just like, this band made, you know, 6 albums already that I like all like to varying degrees or whatever, but that's okay for them. Then like why do you have to feel like you are like smashing your head against a wall trying to figure out something? Like just start going, and if you like the way it feels, then just keep going, you know. And like I didn't really take all of that even to heart like until years and years later, where it's just like you know, I don't know, like from like Body of Wasps to Coma Regalia, this like 1 year gap between the two things, like I was basically just like, yo, like only 100 people in the world are ever even going to hear these songs. Why can't I just let myself finish them or whatever, you know? And,
right, exactly.
And I think that's like I don't know, you know, like I think that I say that, and I think that it implies that there is not like all kinds of thought and work and reimagining happening, like between like me putting the demo down and me finishing the album, because that's not the case. But like essentially, like just whatever you have to do to get yourself from that first thing to the last thing, you need to just cut the bullshit and just start it, because
Yeah.
this idea that I think myself and a lot of people have, that like the angels are gonna sprinkle magic onto your guitar and everything's just gonna come to you in
Right.
like a dream, is ridiculous.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like it is very much a, like, I don't know, there is an aspect of like, hey, this feels like it came from somewhere else, but thinking about it is what makes it like, the thing for me is like, I want to work on stuff that like makes me feel compelled to work on it, and like a lot of stuff doesn't do that. So like finding and figuring out how to like tap into more of the stuff that I can't get off my mind is like, that's what the impulse is to me. It's less like finding a thing. It's figuring out the stuff that I feel compelled to work on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, like, the idea that like this divine thing happens and all of a sudden you're just playing like this riff it's really funny, even when you go through like maybe like demos of stuff that was finished and fully presented later, because you're like, wow, that first version of that sucked.
Right, exactly.
And it's really funny because like you don't feel that way at the time, you're just
no,
and
it's what you've got, right? Like you're like, this is an interesting thing.
Yeah. And so when you no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I always find it fun when it goes literally either direction, like, because sometimes you go back and you're like, oh, this wasn't anything, or like, I hate the thing this was, and sometimes you go back and you're like, actually, you know what, there was more interesting stuff there than where I ended up, and like that's the process of it, and the thing you end up putting in front of people isn't always what you want it to be, and I feel like getting okay with that is what like made me way more comfortable making shit.
Yeah, with me especially, is it's just like I don't know, imposter syndrome and all that, but it's like there like I can listen to something one day and I'll be like, why am I still doing this? Like, why am I still working on this? And then I'll listen to it like 3 days later and I'm like, this is awesome. Why did I think this was bad?
What
like,
did I ever doubt?
Yeah. And I don't know, like I think a lot of, I think that however you feel about something, I think that there's a lot that can be said for just finishing it, whether you think it's gonna be the best thing or not. If you gave it everything you could give it, and you're like still on the fence about it, just do it and see what happens. Because I mean, I've said it before, but there's plenty of things where I'm like, if I was approaching this now, I wouldn't have done it that way. But in a way, I'm glad, because I made something I would not have made it that way otherwise. Like,
right, exactly.
And so,
like, there's still value in a thing existing. Like, I don't know. Like, that's people like. I was talking about this with Emily earlier, and I won't talk about the album specifically, but like, there are a lot of people who like go back and like remake a thing they made a long time ago, and like, I think that can be an interesting exercise. And also, like, it was the thing it was because you knew what you knew then. Like, you lose a little bit of the, like,
earnestness?
The magic of it. Yeah, the earnestness, the magic of it to me is just, like, in knowing that it's like this thing people responded to for whatever reason, like you're coming at it inherently with a different perspective, and like that changes what the thing is. Yeah. Sometimes that can be interesting, and sometimes that can be really self-indulgent and weird.
It's like, yeah, I mean, like, you're all better at your instruments. The recording sounds better. Like, the vocalist is a way better actual singer now, and et cetera, et cetera. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it is weird. And I you know, I can think of, you know, some bands that have done that, and people are like grateful that happened. Like I've seen people react very positively to that. And, you know, whether you fall on one side of that fence or the other, you know, that's up to you. But I do think it's like a completely different thing, you know, because it's just.
Exactly. And like, I think I go both ways on it, because like, for a good example of this, like the new versions of those Lord Snow songs that they just put out, they were getting ready for that fest or whatever, and they were like recording separately to like practice to each other playing. Like I love that new version of those songs. I'm glad that exists.
I still need to listen to that, because like I don't know, I just have a really weird situation with like my phone. The input doesn't work, so I can't listen to music on that, because I've got a pair of Bluetooth earbuds that are like so shitty that like the left side will just cut out randomly and the right side will just cut out. Like, they're so bad. So like the only way that I have to like really listen to stuff is on my iPad, but like I'm drawing on my iPad like 6 or 8 hours a day, so like I can't listen to music while I do that, like, effectively, you know? Cause, like,
you're not internalizing it in the same way you would if you were, like, listening.
And also, just, like, if I switch from, like, I'm listening to this on Bandcamp, like, in Safari, if I switch from that to, like, I'm back in Procreate drawing, then when the song is over, it'll stop.
Yeah.
And I have to go. And so it's, like... And also, my iOS on my iPad is so old, I can't update, like, I can't get, like, a lot of apps now, and I can't update any of the ones I have. Like, I can't even update, I can't use YouTube app on it anymore, because it's, like...
it's so crazy, and sometimes it's, like, sometimes the apps are cool with it, and they're like, hey, there's a new version, and you can hit, like, not now, and that's fine. And sometimes they're like, hey, there's a new version, actually, you no longer get to access this thing. Yeah. And it's like, well, I can't. You won't let me update, and I can't access it with the old version, so I guess I just don't get to use this service anymore. I
always have to go to YouTube on Safari now, which is like a whole other thing. And it's like, I don't know. But, so I've been meaning to check that. I didn't realize there was, like, re-recorded songs. But, yeah, that is, like, also a lot different as well, because they have, like, a whole, like... other member that has rejoined them and stuff. So there's like this other dynamic there. But excuse me. Yeah.
But I really like that newer EP, and like you know, it's a weird thing anytime anyone revisits a thing they made, but like sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I've sort of been like, oh, I won't do that with Coma Regalia, even though there's some where I'm like, I don't know, where I'm just like, there's some stuff where I'm like, I just think that it could be presented better or whatever, right? Because like we'll play a song live, and I just feel like it's presented better than like on the album or whatever. But like, I've been like, oh, I'm not going to do that. But then at the same time, like, Jason will come out for a couple shows or whatever, and I'll be like, what if we recorded a live version of this album or something? And that idea will go around for a minute, and then we will realize that's an insane thing to propose because we only have like 3 days. You know?
Right. Exactly. The creative Well, I guess I don't know if everyone experiences this or if it's just my mental illness thing, but like that, like mania that kind of sets in of like, well, I could make anything happen. I could do whatever, and then like you realize, oh no, there is limited time in a day. I only have so much energy. The pull between like that and making a thing exist, I think, is also a really interesting and compelling thing about like making stuff.
It's wild, like going from like doing like only music to doing like music and like comics and stuff, like has been such a interesting like view. Like my view on things has changed so much, because like if I'm pretty prepared, like I can make a whole album in like 3 or 4 days.
Damn.
And there's no amount.
I know a little bit about how you record, and that is crazy. It's like you being able to do that is wild to me.
And the thing is, like, there is no amount of preparedness, absolutely no amount, where I could turn out like a full comic in that amount of time. It just doesn't. Yeah. It does not compute. It's like I'm like, okay, like 20 minutes worth of music, like you got 2 guitar tracks, you got drums, you got bass, you got vocals. You know, if I'm pretty prepared, I could do that in about 4 days, and I have really. And it's like, you know, because I'm going to use this amount of time for this, and I'm going to, you know, and I do like to give myself a lot of pressure, because I just sort of perform better. And so I'm just like, I get through it. But like, there isn't anything about like drawing for me where like, I'm like, oh, sure, I could do a page in like 4 hours or whatever. Like, it's just not happening. And it's funny because like, you might look at my drawings and be like, why did this take you 6-8 hours, you know, or whatever? You might be like, why? Like, this is pretty simple, or this is pretty whatever. But it's just like, I don't know. I over the couple of years that I've been doing it, I've told myself like, oh yeah, the better I get at this and problem solving in this area, like the faster I'll be. But that's been a lie, because
you always find other stuff you want to tweak or focus on or try like
you're just like, I look back at like stuff from 2 years ago, and I'm like, no, it's taking me the same amount of time as it did 2 years ago. It just looks better, because like I didn't get like
you end up in a better place. Yeah, but it's you still devote the same amount of time to it.
Yeah, because you're not saying like, I'm gonna be faster, but it's only gonna look as good as it.
Right.
Like your editorial like eye or whatever, like still demands this amount of whatever, you know. But it's like
thought or like revision or whatever. Yeah. The amount of like you in your head, you're like, I'm going to get faster, and I can't imagine aiming for more than what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah, and you
just find new ways to spend the time to make it more of what you want.
Yeah, because you're not yeah, you're not settling for like the version of you 2 years ago or whatever,
Right.
And
You're
I
like,
don't know.
damn, that's a drawing I would have done 2 years ago, or like,
Yeah.
damn, that's a demo I would have thought was passable 2 years ago, and like now I want more out of it. Like
Yeah.
I expect I want to grow, and
Yeah.
like yeah,
It's it's I don't know. And it's weird too because like there's different things that you might think like in a creative process where you're like if you well, if I only do this, I'll save this amount of time or whatever. Like it in drawing it's like, oh, if I use a simpler art style, like or like, oh, if I only do this many guitar tracks or whatever as opposed to this many. But then later you're like, well, now I have to mix these guitars differently because
right,
they don't sound what I'm used to. Or like in drawing, it's like, oh, I used like less lines. I'm using like a simpler style, but now these lines have to be like cleaner. Like they can't be as sketchy. They can't be like, you know what I mean?
right.
There's no way of just like short, like shorting your
You
time is
there
basically.
yeah, there
Yeah.
is no such thing as, well, okay. I'm sure there are people out there who figure out how to like iterate and do things faster and somehow be okay with whatever level they're producing at. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. That's not my experience. It's not the experience of people I make stuff with. Is like, we're all doing this to try to like translate the thing that we can see better outward, and like all you ever do in getting faster at doing what you're doing is give yourself more time to give yourself other think about.
Yeah. You're like, I got here faster and now I'm just working on it longer. It's the same.
Right.
Yeah. Um, yeah. You, excuse me. You mentioned Teeth Kids earlier, and I looked it up on Bandcamp, and I have you like the last thing that was there? It said it was all recorded by one person. So, is that like a?
Oh, so all of us played on it. That's just, we had an engineer record it. Simon just like was the person who did all the like putting up mics and such.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it was all six of us. Most of the things that are like up and available to listen to, there's a demo and then there's a single with 2 songs. They both have 2 songs. It's all 6 of us playing. It's just the demo, we did it live. It's like we had 2 microphones in our practice space, and we kind of just got what we got and mixed as well as we could to make things clear. But it turns out 6 people making noise, it's still pretty tough to make things discernible. And then the single, yeah, we recorded with our friend Simon, and he did mixing, mastering, and like the actual engineering of it. But it's still all 6 of us playing.
Okay.
We just did it like track by track. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know that like you play in ladder as well, and
Yeah.
you weren't on any recordings until like did you do the new recordings?
I'm still like the studio EP. I'm still not on. That's still all Meredith and John. We have like I don't know. There's more live stuff coming out, which obviously I'm on, all that. But like as far as writing and like deciding what those songs are before they get introduced to the like live band and they kind of become their own thing, that's all still Meredith and John for that band. But like Teeth Kids is definitely more like, I don't know, there's 6 of us. We all have other projects and other ideas. We're all bringing stuff to it, where like Ladder is more like taking someone else's thing and figuring out ways to make it fun and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So like those songs are already, but you know, there's stuff I like doing that like we play a song right now with Ladder. The single like just came out, and it's got like violin. It's very pretty. It's like big and post rocky or whatever, but like when Ladder the band plays that, like the live band, it's a lot more noisy and aggressive and like what's the word I'm looking for? It's like that. It's cataclysmic or whatever.
Yeah,
like
just
we
kind
try
of
to bring
visceral.
that energy. Yeah, because we don't have someone playing violin with us. Like there's a lot of stuff that like we translate to like fill in the gaps or figure out a way to make it make more sense. And like Teeth Kids is more like we're just all in a room figuring out how to make this shit sound as sick and as cool as we can.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I don't know, just different approaches.
Yeah. I just, I was confused. I was by the credits on the Teeth Kids thing, because I was like, you know, do they just play in like 7 bands? Like, where it's just like, I just love to just show up and play, which is like totally valid. I mean, that's awesome, you know?
Hey, respect to that. But, no. Yeah, Teeth Kids is, we're all working together to write the stuff.
For sure.
It's, you know, it's like any band where like, yeah, I'd say like Emily and Sawyer write the heart of stuff, right? Like they come with songs and then we like figure it out from there. They grow into their own weird thing, which I think is just like, I don't know. That's been most of my experience outside of Nine, the project that doesn't exist but does exist, and is a mess and is my own brainchild thing, but will hopefully exist more formally shortly.
Awesome. So other than that, like, is the pet play, the Hell to Tell, is that the newest thing that you've played on that was released?
Yeah. I think that's true. That EP is the newest thing that exists that people can listen to that I've played on. Yeah, and we did that with the same engineer who did the Teeth Kids single, our friend Simon, who plays in a bunch of bands and like does pedal demo. Simon's up to all sorts of stuff. I call him my favorite influencer friend as a way to be mean to him. But like, you know, he's out there, he's hustling and doing freelance stuff and making his life work. So, but yeah, he's a friend of ours and works at a studio, and it's very convenient from where our practice space is. It is literally down the hall. So
that's super convenient.
We recorded the pet play stuff with him also. I love that project. That project is so much fun. We've only gotten to play live once. Like that EP we kind of made because my wife, who does vocals in pet play, broke her ankle, and we were like, we're gonna play a show before the end of 2024. And then she broke her ankle and we were like, okay, we're not playing a show anymore, I guess. We're gonna just record this stuff and we'll figure it out from there. And like, we've only gotten to play one show, but like, I don't know, that band's real fun. It's real fast. It's like straightforward, and yeah, I really love that project.
Yeah. How did that band come together exactly?
So we call it like a family band, sort of. So it's me, my wife, my girlfriend Emily, who is also in Teeth Kids, and then my wife's boyfriend Kevin plays drums. And Kevin and Emily are both like, I think it's fair to say they're the people who actually know about hardcore in that band. Like they're the people who like really give a shit about like hardcore and where hardcore came from and history and shit. And like me and Tin are just like punk.
Okay.
Like,
so are they're drummer and guitar player?
Yeah, drummer
Okay.
and guitar. Yeah. In Pet Play are like, you know, they're the people who went to the like Albion House Repo's basement secret set when they were like getting ready to open for Orchid. Like they really care about hardcore, and they like obviously we spend a lot of time together because like we're all just involved in each other's lives
Mm-hmm.
outside of band stuff, and like I think they really like found a bond and connection over like Chicago hardcore specifically. And then we were just kind of like, well, what if we made this a thing? And then we just started making these really quick, fast songs. And I finally conned Tin into being in a band because she operated a venue in Reno for years and years. And like has been around music stuff forever, but had never played music. And I sort of got Kevin and Emily and me to make a bunch of songs so that she could be in a band and scream. And like it came out so much sicker than I ever necessarily anticipated. Yeah, that band's real fun.
Yeah, it rips.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. That's her first thing too. That's awesome. You
Yeah,
said,
yeah. She's never done any sort of recording or vocals or performed ever before. I think okay, that's a lie. She did like Halloween cover sets occasionally when she was in Reno, but
okay,
as far as like original stuff, this is her first thing,
yeah,
and she fucking killed it.
yeah. You said that she hurt herself before that show you were supposed to play, so you recorded instead. Was she like doing these vocals like while sitting down, or just like up on like a brace, or?
She had an ankle brace on, so
Okay.
she was at, I think it was a ladder show at the Empty Bottle in Chicago, and it's a dark venue. I love that place, but there are stairs, and she fell and broke her ankle. So the recording, she's like in a boot, like just sort of stomping around the like the live room in studio in Simon's space. Yeah, she was like almost all the way better, but like still couldn't like jump around and do the shit that she wanted to do with that band live.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just her screaming into an SM58 in in an ankle boot, stomping around.
Yeah. You were saying like jump around and do the stuff she wanted to do, and I was like, not in the studio though, right? Like that's not.
But the thing is, like
Maybe.
we kind of set it up so that she could. Like we wanted it to sound like live. Like,
Yeah.
I think none of us really anticipated recording those songs the way we did when we were like coming up with the band, and so like it was very much like a we're gonna not, this mic is not on a stand. Tin is holding this mic in her hand, and she is running around the room as best as she can with a broken foot. And I don't know. I think that energy comes through.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Were all the instruments tracked live?
No, we did them like individually. So
Oh, you
we
did?
like did drums. Yeah, we did drums with. Well, me and Emily played along, like scratch tracks,
Yeah, you
while
had
he was
phones.
recording drums, and then yeah, we did them all individually. We did it real professional, like, which was kind of unexpected for hardcore.
Yeah, it's because I do a lot of my recordings like either by myself or with people across the country. It's always
Yeah.
like that. So I'm like the other way where I like fantasize about like record. You know, the last time that I was able to do a record that that was like the drums and the guitars were recorded live at the same time was Inspirata. And
Whoa!
that
Yeah.
was in 2012. But even that
Yeah.
wasn't completely, because like the last song on there, like only the first half of the last song was recorded that way because the guitar player at the time didn't know the rest of the song. just, it's just because like, yeah, we had 9 songs and we were running through them like all the time. We have recordings where we would record the whole like album live just because we were like want to be ready when we record this. And then like the 9th song, I was like we had played the first part of it however many times, and then we get to this one part where there's sort of like this sort of changeover, and we would get to that part and the guitar player just never learned the second half, and and it was this whole thing where it was like we were like we're gonna record on this day, and we were getting ready, and then we're like you're gonna and then we're gonna like finish learning the song this week, and then he couldn't come that week, and I was like, no, we said we were recording this day, like we can't keep putting this off because we had this whole like
we can't
tours and stuff, you know, and it was funny. So it was a like just this thing where like we were doing this thing this certain way. I had to learn how to like do this, do that, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm often like, oh, I would love to do that again, not remembering the headaches of like, oh, some of those guitars that we had to fix actually did bleed into the drum mics. That was terrible.
Right.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
that the thing is like, so These Kids is getting ready to record, and we're gonna do it like track, like it's like individually, right? Like we're not recording it all live in a room, and like we had big designs of like, yeah, let's just track this live. Let's like get in a big room and figure out how to do it, and like logistically, you know, it's like we have this much money. We can either spend like 9 days doing things individually in a smaller room, or we could get a really big room and really hope we nail it in 2 days. And like, you know, the like eventually I would love to be able to record everything live. I think like that, I don't know. I play in a bunch of bands that energy of like being in a room with a person feels very different to me than like, all right, well now I'm going to play the bass part. Like it's a headphone. And like, it's logistics and capitalism and every other thing that makes things hard sometimes makes things hard. And, you know, I think there's value in like whatever you can actually make happen.
Yeah, no, you can find a way to make like sitting down with the bass and putting the headphones on make you feel just as connected to what you're doing as, you know, I mean,
there are ways you can make that experience feel more natural or better. And like, I always appreciate that. And also like, it's never quite the same.
Yeah. I mean, there's, I don't know, you know, there's, that's a whole rabbit hole, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's head spaces that you need to get into for doing it by yourself. And there's, when you're doing it with everyone, it's almost that urgency to where you're putting that logic part of your brain on the back burner, and that feels good too, you know? And, but, so I mean, you know, you mentioned you mentioned being in quite a few bands. I think I only know about Pet Play, Teeth Kids, and Ladder. So what are your other projects that you're, you know, working on, and like what can people expect to hear from you just in general over the next like rest of the year?
Yeah, rest of the year, honestly, like These Kids record should hopefully be out before end of 2025. Like if it doesn't, something has gone really wrong. There will probably be, I don't know what Pet Play's doing. Like we have stuff, we're working on stuff, and we're playing shows that theoretically there could be more of that. There's also Fetish Mine, which is Emily's like metal project that started out as a solo thing and is like becoming a more collaborative thing. I play in that also. Obviously, there's going to be. I don't mean to ruin the surprise. I think we've announced it at this point. But there's more ladder songs coming, and we're going to be like touring around on that. So I think a lot of my year is going to be out with ladder. But there's that stuff, and like I don't know. I can't stop. I can't stop making stuff as much as I try. So like, there's that band Nines. It's just me and Emily. She plays drums. I write all the guitar parts and scream in it. And like, maybe that'll have something out. But definitely Teeth Kids and Ladder. And then the other stuff, I just like, I don't know. I play live with folks. There's some stuff I'm not supposed to talk about.
Okay.
That like is one of the 7 bands I count. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep doing stuff. People will be able to hear me play music on stuff until I'm dead. Probably at this point, I've gotten too obsessed and in love with it. So, Ladder, Teeth Kids, Pet Play will all continue making stuff, and Nines will hopefully have recorded material out. And if not, we'll just, I don't know, we'll be yelling somewhere. And then, Fetish Mine, also working on stuff. So, I don't know, staying busy. Got a lot going on.
And that was my conversation with Clementine Baker. Thank you so much, Clementine, for taking the time to chat with me. Thanks to all of y'all for listening wherever you are as well. I hope you're having a great summer, filled with great music, and sharing that with friends. Until next time, take care and do good things.